This is Edward October, host of OctoberPod on YouTube. Hear that jingle jingle? It could be Kris Kringle, or a home invader looking for an open window, a jilted lover looking for revenge, or a disgruntled coworker hoping to spike your eggnog with arsenic. The girls of our true crime podcast are always on Santa's nice list, but the crimes they discuss are very naughty indeed. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, Jen.
Hey, Kim. Are you ready for day 6?
Day 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I'm ready for day 6.
6 nightmares of Christmas.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, let's go.
I'm ready. Let's go. Hit me. Hit me.
Day 6 takes us to the small town of Carnation, Washington. Carnation is about 40 miles away or 30 miles from Seattle and has the population just over 2,100 people. Originally, the town was called Tolt, but it changed its name to Carnation after the Carnation Milk Company. Yes, that Carnation evaporated milk.
Well, I've seen the Carnation song.
No, Carnation evaporated milk makers, which many of you, I'm assuming, are using some of those stuff to bake your delicious Christmas goodies. Sells out this time of year. Maybe not sells out, but it sells a lot.
Does well.
You make a lot of Christmas goodies with that kind of stuff, evaporated milk. Anyway, on December 24th, 2007, 60-year-old Wayne Anderson, a retired engineer from Boeing, and his wife of 31 years, Judy, who was 61 years old, was anxiously awaiting the arrival of their family to start celebrating Christmas holiday. It was tradition for the Anderson family to get together on Christmas Eve, and it was actually one of Wayne's favorite holidays. They like to celebrate it by opening presents and eating and just enjoying everyone's company. We do that too. We go to my dad's every year for Christmas Eve. The couple was expecting their 29-year-old daughter, Michele, and her partner, Joe McEnroe. Mary was actually Judy's daughter from a previous marriage, but I believe Wayne adopted her. And they were expecting their 29-year-old daughter, Michele, and her partner, Joe. And they lived just right in a trailer on the Andersons' 11 acres. And then also their 32-year-old son, Scott, and his wife, Erica. Now, those two would bring their 2 small kids. At 4 p.m., the first guests arrive. Judy was wrapping gifts in the back of the house, and Wayne went to open the front door. Then at 5 p.m., the Kings County Sheriff's Office receives a 911 call from the Andersons' home. When the dispatcher picked up the phone, they heard a woman screaming. The call only lasts 10 seconds before the line goes dead. Dispatcher tried to call back twice, but the calls went to the voicemail. Deputies were sent out to the house, but a locked gate blocked off the 1/4 of a mile driveway that leads to the house. And since the dispatcher described what she heard as kind of like a party, they just assumed it was a party. So they left. They didn't try to get...
Party like having fun or party like screaming and like loud noise?
The dispatcher just told the police, you know what? It sounded like there was a party in the background. Somebody was screaming, but it sounded like it was a party. So the the people from the sheriff's department, it's like, well, it is the holidays. Maybe it was a party. Maybe. I don't know. So they just left. They didn't go check, but they just left. 2 days later, when Judy didn't arrive for her job at the post office, her friend and co-worker, Linda Teeley, started to get worried. I mean, Judy was never late, so she knew something was wrong. So Linda called, and there was no answer at the house. Linda got very nervous. She knew something was wrong, so she got into her car, and she drove to the Andersons to check to make sure everything was okay. And I'll just let you know, it wasn't. Linda gets to the gate, and it's locked. But that doesn't deter Linda. Not at all.
Say it again. I think you said deter. Or it sounded like deter instead of deter.
Deter, yeah. I meant to say deter, but I wrote deter. Yep.
Deter.
So Linda gets to the gate and it's locked, but that doesn't stop Linda at all. She could get around an obstacle and She could get around that locked gate obstacle and walk up the driveway to the house. Linda tries the door and it's unlocked. And she walks into the very dark house and she calls out for Judy. She doesn't get an answer. There's only silence. And as she walks further into the house, she sees the body of a man laying on the floor. She can see that he's been shot in the head. And as she goes into the living room for a closer look, she sees 2 more bodies. Linda then calls 911. She can tell that one of the bodies is female, but she can't tell if it's her friend Judy or not. Police arrive at the scene at about 9:30 a.m., and as they enter the living room, they find Scott Anderson and his wife Erica lying dead on the floor. The couple's 3-year-old son Nathan was laying over Erica's chest. He was gone. And just to the right of Erica, they find 5-year-old Olivia. All 4 had been shot in the head. Police gathered from the evidence that Erica had fought hard to protect her children. Police look around the home and find shell casings for a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and one for a .357. Now they're wondering if there were 2 people involved in the murder or just one person with 2 guns. There didn't seem to be many signs to indicate that there had been any kind of struggle. There's no signs of forced entry, and it didn't even look like there had even been a robbery. Police start to investigate outside the property, and by the shed under a carpet remnant lay Wayne Anderson. Wayne, like the others, had been shot in the head. Then when police search the shed, they find Judy. She had a shot in her head and in her neck. Well, now police, and, Linda's there. Linda's telling them everything about the family. Police start wondering where the 2 Andersons' daughters are. Linda was able to give them, information on where they live. So police visited daughter Mary, who lived 25 miles away. And she was genuinely shocked that her family had been murdered. And she explained that she'd been ill on Christmas Eve and just didn't go to her parents. The other 2 officers go down to the trailer where Michele and her partner Joe live. And there's no answer. And when they go into the trailer, there's no one there. And the place doesn't look like it's been disturbed at all. At 11 a.m. or so, with tons of police swarming the property, a car pulls up, and it's Michele and Joe. They wanted to get onto the property, and one of the lead detectives, Scott Tompkins, separates Michele and Joe, and they, speak to each one separately. And he finds it strange that as he's speaking with Michele, she never asks him why all the police are there. Why are there helicopters above the house? Why are their parents? Why are there tons of cars at her parents' house? When he asks where she's been, she tells him that she and Joe were going to surprise the family by getting married in Las Vegas. But they got halfway there and they had to turn back because she forgot her wallet. Because that's what you do. When you're going to get married somewhere, you leave your wallet at home.
Mm-hmm.
She said she'd been to her parents on Christmas Eve and right before they left to, for Vegas, and that the family had been fine before they left. And see, Michele and Joe, they had met online in a writing group 5 years prior. And Joe left his home in North Carolina to come to Carnation to be with Michele without even seeing a picture of Michele. Can you believe that? They met online, and the only thing that Michele ever sent was a picture of her eyes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
Mm-hmm.
Her personality, I guess.
He fell in love with her, and he moved from North Carolina to Carnation.
Yeah.
And the 2, of course, they had some financial problems. So Judy and Wayne let them stay rent-free in their trailer. But they were in love and they went to get married. So detectives asked Michele why she thought all the police were at her parents' house. And just like that, Michele broke down and confessed. She confessed that she and Joe had slaughtered a family because of money. She told police that she was tired of, quote, everybody stepping on her. And she had decided that if her family did not start showing her respect by December 24th, she would just kill them all.
Oh.
Yeah. She claimed that Scott owed her $40,000 and refused to pay it back. And Scott and Michele were once really close until Erica came into the picture. And she and Erica didn't get along. Some thought that maybe Michele was jealous of Erica. Michele was also mad at her parents because they wanted her to pay rent for living in the trailer. Joseph and Michele had quit their jobs and they weren't doing anything to help themselves. And Wayne and Judy were just trying to make them grow up and pay their own way. They were tired of the freeloaders, I guess. Not that they said that, but that's what I say. According to police reports, the couple went to Judy and Wayne's house on Christmas Eve with guns that they had bought earlier that year. According to police reports, the couple went to Judy and Wayne's house on Christmas Eve with guns that they had bought earlier that year. Joe McEnroe had a .357 in his holster, and Michele had the 9mm wrapped inside a sweatshirt. As they walked into the house, McEnroe went into the back and found Judy wrapping presents. Michele, confronting Wayne, raised the 9mm and shot at her father but missed. Hearing the gun go off, Judy and Joe ran into the living room to see what was going on. Once there, McEnroe shot Wayne point blank in the head. This, of course, terrified Judy, and she started screaming and she ran from the room. Joe calmly followed her into the kitchen, where he fired one shot, hitting Judy in the neck. But this didn't stop Judy from screaming, "No, no, no." Apologizing as he lifted up his gun again, Joe shot Judy in the head. So with Michelle's parents gone, dead, the two killers cleaned up the murder scene. Joe McEnroe carried Judy out to the shed, but Wayne was too heavy, so he had to drag him outside. And unable to lift him into the shed, they covered up his body with a remnant of carpet. Michele and Joseph go back inside, clean up the blood, and burn the evidence in a fire pit. Then they waited for the rest of the family to arrive for dinner. At 5 p.m., Scott and his wife Erica and their two children arrive at the house for a night of Christmas cheer. Michele and Joseph greeted the family, saying that Wayne and Judy were out back, which technically wasn't a lie. The group gathers in the living room, and Scott makes himself comfortable and takes off his boots. When he gets settled in, he asks again where his parents were. That's when Michele starts to confront Scott about the money and pulls out the gun. Scott charges at her, and Michele shoots him in the face. Erica and the kids start to scream. Sure, panic goes through them. Michele then turns and fires the gun at Erica, hitting her twice. And with all of her strength, Erica makes it to the landline phone and dials 911. This was the 10-second call that the dispatchers thought sounded like a party. Later, police made digital enhancements to the recording, and now they say it sounds like someone saying, "Not the kids, no."
Oh.
At this point, McEnroe took the phone out of Erica's hand and took out the batteries of the phone, threw them on the ground. And while he was doing this, Erica crawled back to her kids. Erica told Joseph that he didn't have to do this, and he replied, "Yes, we do," before shooting her in the head. That's when Michele tells Joe that they have to kill everyone. Joe went to 5-year-old Olivia and shot her in the head at very close range. Then he proceeded to shoot 3-year-old Nathan as well. And in one of his confession, he says little Nathan had picked up one of the batteries and was like handing it to him. And he said that the look on Nathan's face was like, "I know you have to do this." Ugh, it just gives me the creeps. Joseph would later explain why he killed the babies to detectives. Quote, "I didn't want them to turn us in." Michele Anderson and Joseph McEnroe were arrested and charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder on December 28th, 2007. It didn't take long. I mean, they confessed. They couldn't even last a few minutes with the police officers. Now, it doesn't seem that many people were shocked that Michele slaughtered her entire family. According to family friends, Michele had started behaving erratically over the past few years, even become paranoid that they would hurt her in some way. According to one of Michelle's friends, Jennifer Chandler, quote, "Something had changed in her. She seemed like she had depression issues and some anxiety issues. She had very poor social skills, and she felt slighted. And if she felt slighted at all, she'd get angry and just blow up. In fact, when Chandler heard about the massacre at the Anderson home, she joked to her husband, 'Well, I guess Michele just killed her family.'"
she joked that? Why did she joke that?
She didn't know that it was the Andersons' home. She just heard that a family had been killed. And she's like, I guess Michele finally killed her family.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And another family friend told Seattle Times that Michele had been somewhat estranged from some of the family members for months, including Mary, who was the sister that didn't make the gathering. Quote, Mary had fears about her sister, not that she thought she was crazy, but based on her antisocial behavior, Mary wouldn't return phone calls. Looking back, it seems something had been in the air for some time. Now, even Linda Teeley had commented to police that Michele may have been the one to kill her family due to her recent behavior.
I wonder what they think about now that really happened and they had those, because people do that.
Yeah.
You think, or you make those, macabre comments thinking...
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the days such and such would just,
Yeah.
But you don't have anything to go on, so you can't really tell the police anything, right?
And no. I mean, I suspect you can't arrest somebody for suspecting that they may do something like that one time.
Exactly. So, and it would take years before Michele and Joseph would go to trial. In 2008, prosecutors announced that they would be seeking the death penalty, which at the time, Michele said she wanted to be executed. And Joseph McEnroe tried to make a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, but couldn't get the prosecutor to agree on a deal. He then tried to plead guilty because of insanity, and the court found no proof that he was insane. Michele had her trial delayed because of her mental competency, and because her mental competency was in question. There was also a judge who ruled that the state couldn't go after the death penalty. There was also Governor Jay Inslee. He put a moratorium on carrying out the death penalty in Washington state. Finally, the judge's ruling was taken to the Supreme Court, where it was overturned, and then they ordered the trials to go forth. So thank you, YouTube channel, that chapter, for helping me out with that bit. It was very convoluted, and they kind of explained it a little bit better for me to understand, made it nice and easy. It took forever. Let's just say it took like 7 or 8 years to go to trial. Both killers were tried separately. Joseph's defense team argues that he was mentally ill, and Joseph would say that Michele manipulated him into killing her family. The whole trial is on YouTube, and you can just watch him, Joe. He has a breakdown. Like at one point, he grabs his head, and he just starts slamming it into the microphone during his testimony.
Why?
He's like on this emotional roller coaster ride. Like he was angry with himself for doing it, and he was like flustered and frustrated. And that wasn't
fake though, right?
No,
it wasn't fake trying to get. Okay.
No, there's something a bit off with him.
Okay,
just looking at him. There's not just looking at him, but I really truly believe that Michele manipulated him into doing it, and if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have done it. But he did take over. I mean, once it happened, he took over and killed everybody. I mean, he ended up killing everybody. It was him. He was the one that would make the shots that would kill everybody. In May of 2015, Joseph McEnroe was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And a year later, Michele Anderson was given the same sentence. And all this happened because of money. Pure and simple. She was mad that her parents were going to make her start paying rent on the trailer. They weren't going to be able to live rent-free anymore. And I'm sure they stood to inherit a good sum of money. I mean, the parents owned 11 acres of land. And I guess if the siblings were out of the way, they would get even more. So...
Not when you're sitting in jail.
I know.
Rotting.
I know.
Wow.
So also big thanks to the Seattle Times for the coverage of this case. They did an amazing job. That's where most of the info
Seattle
went.
Times.
Yes. And what was the YouTube channel? That chapter. It's cute. He's a cute little Irish boy. He's a cute channel. Or not cute. It's a murder channel. But,
He's cute.
He's cute. He's cute in this nerdy little Irish way, and he doesn't sensationalize anything. It's just the facts and the cute Irish brogue. And yeah.
Well, that was day 6.
That horrible day 6.
Halfway through. And not good.
I hope your Christmas Eve goes better. Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, something. Well, all right, Jen. I guess we'll meet back at the same time tomorrow to discuss more not nice things.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yep. But I hope everyone's having a great Christmas or Christmas season, I should say.
Me too. But until then, remember, lock your doors.
Keep passing by these open windows.
Bye-bye.
Love ya. Today's episode was researched and written by me, Jen. For more information about this episode, as well as all other sources, please check out our show notes or the podcast website at ourtruecrimepodcast.com. Our True Crime Podcast is developed and created by the hosts, Jen and Cam. Original music and audio mix of all our True Crime Podcast episodes is courtesy of Nico Vertese from We Talk of Dreams. You can reach Nico at wetalkofdreams.com. Listener discretion is provided by Edward October from OctoberPod VHS. You can find all of his great works on YouTube. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our True Crime Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be reached on Instagram and Facebook at Our True Crime Podcast or on Twitter with the handle at Our True Crime Pod. You can also email us at ourtruecrimepodcast@gmail.com. We would also at this time like to thank our patrons. We would be so lost without you. Thank you so much. And if you would like to help support the show, you can check us out on patreon.com/ourtruecrimepodcast. You can also show your support by leaving a 5-star review on Apple or simply just tell your friends about us. It's that easy. Love ya.